Hello, Westridge parents and guardians. This is Amy Bruce here, principal at Westridge behind this mask. And I'm joined by my new partner here.
Hi, guys. My name's Lindsay Zimmerman, and I'm the new assistant principal here at Westridge. And we're just super excited to see you guys. We know it's not time yet, but we're getting closer and closer.
And as you can see, we are actually back at school. We're here in the Westridge Library. And the reason we are masked is because, as you've probably seen, our district plan is out that everyone on grounds is masked here at school. So we thought we would show you the real deal of what school is going to be looking like here at Westridge. Before we get into those details, I wanted to be sure to frame with you sort of the heart around the decisions that have been made around what the district plan will look like at Westridge as we implement it, and wanted to share with you our heart for our community, really care and protection of all of the members of our school community, from our kids to our families to our school staff. Our goal is really to make sure that we can keep everyone here at Westridge healthy and protected so that we're all safe and so that we can keep our school open. We also realize and value the relationships that we have with our community and recognize that it's going to take all of us in partnership, really leaning in together, cooperating and collaborating and giving each other that patience and grace as we really walk through a reopening of school that is going to look unlike anything we've ever seen before, right? This is strange. We'll just put it out there, but necessary. So here's how we wanted to do this. We know that district plan that just came out to you is really lengthy. There's a lot of pages there to dig into. And there are some specifics to Westridge that are not outlined in there. So because Lindsay is new to us as well, we thought we would work through the details of the plan in a bit of a question and answer format. So she'll be asking me questions, and we'll go through about 8 different chunks of details related to our school's plan. As she asks me questions, I'll share the answers, and then this video will be something that we have out for our community, so you can watch this over and over again.
So now it's time. Let's get to know what is the COVID plan and a return to school plan going to look like here at Westridge. All right, so our first order of business, Amy, tell me, what are masks going to look like at Westridge?
Well, it's a good topic to start with, since you see this is what we're going to look like on campus. So anywhere outside on Westridge's grounds, anywhere inside the building, 100% of the time, all adults, all staff, all parents who come to grounds for any reason must be wearing a mask. And there are specific protocols around mask wearing that we want to be sure to go through with you. So we've got 2 examples here. I've got the disposable kind of mask, and Lindsay has one of the cloth coverings that are perfectly acceptable. Either one is perfectly acceptable to wear. We know that there are a variety of different masks options that are out there on the market for you. We want to make sure you know that they need to be clean and in good repair. They need to fit snugly across the nose and around the cheeks. They need to cover both the nose and the mouth in order to be worn appropriately and be secure to the face. Some of them include multiple layers of fabric. The disposable versions obviously don't have that. They should allow for breathing without restriction. If they're not disposable, should be able to be laundered and dried, and they should be laundered and dried versus just coming back and forth and sitting in school without being washed. They should not have any holes in them. So no crocheted masks, really full covering, no holes, no tears, nothing inappropriate written on them, all basic dress code kind of protocols there. Additionally, so you know now that we're all 100% of the time wearing masks here at Westridge, every human being who's here on our grounds or in our school all the time. However, we do want to reassure you that we recognize we're working with young children. And so we will be humane and careful and thoughtful in teaching them how to wear a mask, how to get a little breath of air appropriately. And we will be giving them mask breaks. Our teachers have very kind hearts toward our kids. They will take them outside, and when they can maintain strictly 6 feet of distance between them, be able to take masks off for a mask break.
So I'm guessing then if I have a bandana that I want to wear or something that looks like the things that they wear on Survivor that could go over my face. If it's going to cover my nose and my mouth, that should be okay, right?
If it is going to cover your nose and mouth and fit snugly and you can breathe through it, yes, that would be okay.
All right. So a lot of people have been talking about temperatures and seeing what those are going to look like. How will we handle that here at Westridge?
So yes, temperature taking daily will be an important part of our screening protocol. So we are relying with, there's two parts to the plan. First is at home before your student comes to school. We do believe that you'll take a temperature, make sure your child is not feverish, make sure your child is not displaying any symptoms of a potential COVID infection. And if you believe that they were, that you would certainly not send them to school. Second part of the plan is that when they arrive to school, and we'll talk about that a little bit further in this video, when they arrive to school, come into their classroom, their teachers will have a thermometer and teachers will be doing a forehead temperature screen in the classroom. If we have any temperatures of students that are 100.4 degrees or higher, then those students we will be calling home and those students will need to be picked up immediately.
Where are we going to put those kids if they do have a temperature over 100.4?
We have space in our health clinic. We also have additional space in our building, such as the library, that if we had a number of students or even adults who become feverish, we will have them come out of the general population. We will spread them apart and keep them relatively isolated and separate from each other and from general population using the office space, the health clinic space, the library space.
Awesome. If a parent sees that there is a temperature or they suspect that they might have COVID-like symptoms, how do they tell us?
Oh, that's a good question. We believe that we haven't seen the final version of the family plan that's coming out later today, actually, but we believe that there will be a QR code in that document so that if you believe your child is feverish, COVID symptomatic, you'll use that QR code to report that through electronically. Additionally, we do request that you call the office like you would normally for attendance and leave us a message that tells us you're holding the child home and specifically that you are concerned about COVID-related symptoms.
All right. So I'm also wondering about what is it going to look like to put students in groups? What will that look like here?
So that is called cohorting of students. And at the elementary level specifically, that's a really, really important part of the strategy for preventing the potential spread of infection in order to keep our population healthy and in order to avoid major shutdown, major closure of our entire school building. So the cohorts of students at the elementary level specifically are your child's class first, and that cohort should be no more than 30 students. So that's their first main cohort. There will be additional cohorts that your child is affiliated with if they participate in things like special education, ride the bus, go to before and after school care. Am I forgetting any? English language learner services, anything like that. Any place where they may have exposure to an additional group of children different than their classroom group of children, because their classroom is their primary cohort.
Will preschool be at the same number of students in their cohort, or is that different?
Really good question. So preschool is based on the ratio of child to adult, and that will continue to be no more than 16 students in our preschool classes, and that's their cohort.
All right. So wanting to keep that social distancing is so important, but what about families and visitors? What is that going to look like for them to come to Westridge, or are we going to be able to?
Mm-hmm. Another great question, because what we know as we're continuing to read articles and gain information from places like Colorado Department of Public Health is that the spread from child to child is not as large a concern or not as likely as spread from adult to adult. And what we know is that we don't have a deep bench. So we are trying to keep all of our adults as healthy as we possibly can, keep them healthy so that we can keep school open. In order to accomplish that, we're paying attention to the number of cohorts of kids that our adults are connected to or are exposed to and exposing to. That means we have had to create, we specifically at Westridge have created a series of alternative ways that parents can access the office space to do the kinds of business they would typically do in the office, but to accomplish that in either a virtual way, an online way, or literally through the intercom at the door and at the front door. Again, this is not to box out our families or say we don't want you in here. It's because we want to make sure we show care and protection for all of you, care and protection for the ladies who are staffing our office, and really try to limit the potential that an exposure could cause us to have to close down our whole school.
So can you give us some examples of what that might look like? Just thinking about, like, I need to drop off some paperwork for my kiddo. What would that look like?
Yes. So what you will see if you have something you need to accomplish at the office, typical kinds of business, when you approach the front door, you'll see that we've got dots on the sidewalk. So you'll be sort of staged into a line. You will ring the bell and we'll ask you, who you are like we normally do and what you need to accomplish. If it's something as simple as, hey, I've got Susie's lunch I need to drop off. She forgot it this morning. We're going to have a bin or a basket right outside at the front door. You'll tell us, this is Susie's lunch. I've got her name on her lunchbox. Drop it in the bin. We have hand sanitizer there at the table for you. We will come out and retrieve items that have been dropped off to us, no less than hourly, but also as soon as the line has cleared out and we can get out there without exposing staff unnecessarily to retrieve those items. If it's things like dropping off medication, that must be done in person. So you'll tell us who you are, that you have medication to drop off. We will make sure you are who you are, and we'll bring you in just one parent at a time into the office space to conduct that kind of business and then send you back out.
What if a parent needs to pick up their student early?
Which does certainly happen. We believe we can accomplish that in a way that will meet both family needs as well as reduce the exposure by simply having you ring the bell, let us know who you are. We'll come to the door so we can see your ID through the glass to make sure you are who you are, because we anticipate using the camera to show us your ID might be a little bit difficult. So show us the ID through the door. We will then call for your student to be brought down to the office, and we'll bring them to the door and send them out with you.
So cleaning is a huge concern, I know, for a lot of our families. What will cleaning look like?
There will be a lot of cleaning that needs to be done. So the first thing you'll see is hand washing. Cleaning of the hands will be a critical part of our plan. Kids will be hand washing regularly. They'll wash when they arrive at school. They will wash before or hand sanitize before and after they eat, before and after they are outside at recess. And we'll talk about what recess will look like a little bit later in the video. But hand sanitizing and washing will be critical, done minimally hourly, as well as surface cleaning throughout the day. And we are working to make sure that through partnership with our custodial staff and our teachers, that the surfaces of desk and high touch areas in the classroom are regularly disinfected and wiped down.
Great. Now, this kind of fits along with that, but closures. What is going to happen? What would cause us to close? What will we do if we close school?
So again, we're putting these protocols and carefully thought out procedures in place because we are really hoping to avoid that full school closure. Right now, we are awaiting statewide guidance that will come out later in this month of July that will be more explicit for us around what would warrant closure, how do we define exposure. When that information comes out, all schools in the state will follow that minimally. Oh, and I just thought of one thing I forgot to say.
So with scheduling, it sounds like some things are changing for the school district. What does that look like here at Westridge?
Probably the biggest change you have noticed now that you've seen the district plan is that the elementary school day, it has been shortened. So here at Westridge, our kids still can arrive and start walking in for gentle start at 7:40. The school day starts at 7:50. And we will be dismissing kids at 2:40 every day, Tuesday through Friday now. That is so that we can provide the specials learning experience after school. That will be fully online for our students. Our specials team will collaborate to determine what that officially looks like, but you can know that the expectation is that 50 minutes a day or 200 minutes a week is the equivalent amount of online specials learning that will happen. But the school day is changing to be 7:50 to 2:40 daily.
Great. What does arrival look like? How are students, is that process going to change? And as well as dismissal, what does that all look like?
Yep. One of the major changes related to arrival is that we are staggering the start of the school year. So the first day of school is going to be one grade level at a time. And you've seen those dates in the district plan. That one day that your child comes for their grade level. So as an example, I think it's, I don't remember the first day, if it's the 12th of August, fifth graders will come, and only fifth grade will come. That's across the elementary buildings in the whole district. That's their orientation day, that we want to spend that day with them, building community, building comfort, helping them to learn what school looks like in this new socially distant manner. So the first 2 weeks that would have been our regular school year this year is full with each grade level at a time, has an orientation day. Buses will run on that day. And then there is a day for our online learners to have their orientation. In terms of arriving to school, like I had said, we still will have our gentle start. So we ask that kids are not on school grounds before 7:40. If you find yourself and your student here a minute or so before that, we simply ask that you maintain your distance from others who might be standing there. Each grade level will be assigned a specific door that they're entering and exiting from each day, again, so we can generally be aware of where kids are and what other contexts they're having throughout the day in case we have to contact trace back to a potential case. Older siblings could drop off a younger sibling at their assigned grade level doorway, and then they would be expected to go around to their own classroom's assigned entrance to come in. So that's a difference in what arrival will look like. Largely the same with the difference of assigned doorways.
How about dismissal?
Dismissal is, there's a lot that's very similar about dismissal except for the time. So we are going to release groups of kids in order to keep that hallway traffic at a minimum, keep the crosses between kids at a minimum. So our hug and go kids will be one group that we call to dismiss to come down the hallways and populate out on the front sidewalk, and we'll keep them on dots distant from each other, but that process will remain the same. Our bus kids will be another group that we will call. They'll come down and they'll go out to their buses as is normal. They don't have to wait out there typically, but if they are in a line, we will keep them 3 to 6 feet apart in those lines. For all the rest of our kids who are walking or meeting their parents, our classroom teachers, all of them will then have a specific time in the dismissal time plan that they'll go out their assigned door and they will walk their class right out the door, out into the grass area and disperse the kids. So that we are keeping them separate and getting them moving on and heading home by 2:50. And then one of the other changes is the playground area and the school grounds are not open for community gathering the way they have historically been when the weather is nice. So everyone goes home by 2:50.
That makes sense. And speaking of buses, what is transportation going to look like this year?
Transportation they have some changes as well. So you will see first, if you are intending to have your child ride a school bus, they must be registered no later than July 26th. That is a hard deadline for getting a spot on the buses. We will still be running the regular transportation. It will be 1 student per seat on the buses, and I think the maximum number right now is 22 students on a bus. They will be required to wear their masks on the bus as well.
Okay. Is there any chance if a parent doesn't get registered by July 26th that they could register later on to get on a bus?
It appears because of the need to create routes and have enough buses to run socially distant routes that the July 26th is really a hard and fast deadline. If you want your child's name to appear on the driver's roster so they know when they're at the stop, if their name's not on that roster, they're not going to be able to get on a bus.
And big reminder that the registration is online on the district website. So that is
Yes.
where you can register.
Absolutely. Yes.
Another big piece, Kid Zone before and after care. What is that going to look like?
We will still have before and after care, but there are significantly reduced numbers of spaces. So morning, there will only be 24 spaces. That's so that kids can be kept in cohorts of no more than 12. They will have one Kid Zone staff member assigned to their specific cohort, and they will stay in their assigned area between the cafeteria and the gym in our school. And then in the afternoon, there will be 48 spaces. Kids will still be in cohorts of 12, no more than 12, still have one Kid Zone staff member assigned to them. And Kid Zone staff will walk kids at arrival, get them to the spot that they're supposed to arrive. And in the afternoon, they will be going to our classrooms and picking up our Kid Zone kids and bringing them to their cohorted space.
Will there be a Monday session for the care as well?
Westridge used to be a site for Monday care, but it will no longer be. There are 3 elementary buildings that will provide Monday care. They are Brantner, Northeast, and Reunion currently that will offer that.
What if a student tests positive or there is a contact case of COVID in Kid Zone?
Right now in Kid Zone's plan, if there were a case, they will close the program for 72 hours.
Okay. Those are a lot of really great details. But I know a lot of people want to know, what is school going to look like? Can you tell me about what it will look like in the classroom for a student?
Yes, school will look different, clearly. So masks all the time. Additionally, you can anticipate that your child will be in his or her seat for the majority of the day in that cohort group in their classroom. So picture, we have tables in most of our classrooms, no more than 2 children spaced apart at the table, all the tables facing the same direction, 3 feet at least between them, and wearing their masks. In order to help avoid a lot of crossing of each other and touching of each other, they will largely stay at those seats. They won't be gathering on the carpet. They will use our small group instruction tables, but they will still be spaced apart, facing one direction, and wearing their masks in the classroom. In terms of their belongings, we do ask that they have their backpack and they keep everything in their backpack. In some rooms, they will have their backpack on the backs of their chairs instead of using cubbies. In other classrooms where the teacher is able to offer a process for one at a time access of the cubbies, they will allow kids to go to the cubbies just one at a time. Kids will be needing to keep their water bottle at their desk, their own individual bottle of hand sanitizer at their desk, and all of their own materials at their desk. There won't be any sharing of community supplies within the classroom.
When kids are feeling just kind of overwhelmed, can they take breaks, or is there a way for them to be able to take off their masks?
We do recognize that they're kids, and we have to teach them how to wear these masks. We have to help build their resilience to be able to wear these masks all day. So we are fully anticipating working with them in a gentle way and an encouraging way to teach them how to wear them, to teach them how to easily get a little breath when you need a breath without taking your mask off, to teach them to not pull it down and cough all over the room. And then also the teachers will be giving full classes movement breaks, get them outside where they can take the mask off and breathe in some nice fresh air.
Okay. Now, next, lunch. How are we going to do lunch?
This is a really different one. So as you can imagine, we can't fill a cafeteria with 100 kids because then the cohort theory is all blown to bits. So lunches, kids are going to be eating lunches in their classroom. So if you start to picture what this day looks like, they're arriving to the classroom. They stay in the classroom all day because they're not coming out for specials like they would normally. They will go out for those 2 recess breaks that they have as a class, Lunch will be eaten in their classroom at their desk. Now, their teacher will have his or her lunch break during that 30 minutes of lunch at their desk. So there will be other staff who are assigned to that cohort specifically, who comes into the classroom and supervises the kids and is with them while they simply sit and eat lunch.
How about kids that want to do hot lunch? How does that work?
So right now, the current plan is that while there is a staff member in the classroom with the kids who do not need to purchase anything, the students who do need to get to the cafeteria to purchase lunch or milk or whatever it might be, they'll be walked down. Each classroom will have its own 15-minute block of time for the teacher or the assigned staff to take the class down through the cafeteria serving line. There will be 2 classes in there, one on either side of the big room, going through the line, getting what they need, and then heading back to the classroom. Additionally, something different this year is we have a touchless purchasing system that's coming. So kids they'll be issued a lanyard and a little ID card that has their barcode on it. So if they're purchasing, they simply need to show their card and it's scannable. They don't have to touch anything as they're going through. Additionally, everything that's served for meals, both breakfast and lunch, because we're working to have breakfast in the classroom as well in the morning. Everything will be in individual containers, lidded, so that it's transportable down hallways.
All right.
So it won't be the typical lunch that we're used to.
So you brought up recess breaks. What does recess look like for Westridge students?
So recess, we have identified most of our grade levels have 5 different classes or cohorts at this point. So for the morning recess break and the afternoon recess break, the teacher of that class will take the class to their assigned space where they can play masked unless they can maintain strictly 6 feet of distance. The whole grade level will go out for the same 20-minute recess break, but they cannot move from their assigned classroom space to another. And those spaces will be the blacktop space will have 1 group of kids. The equipment, the wood chip area will have 1 class of kids. The playground, the recess field will have 2 areas for 2 classes of kids. And then the patch of grass that Coach Keefe uses for PE class, because we won't have PE happening during the day, that front yard area will be for the 5th classroom. And they'll rotate through those areas so that all classes get a chance to be on the equipment on the blacktop every 5 days.
Can the kids bring like their own basketball? They wouldn't be sharing it then, and or what sort of games are they going to be playing? What would that look like?
This has been a challenging space. So because we are needing to not use communal supplies or share supplies, we also cannot play games at recess that involve touching of each other. So we can't play football or basketball, and we also kids can't bring in any of their own equipment because we just couldn't guarantee that they aren't then touching and touching and touching. Now, you may wonder about the playground equipment itself. We will have kids sanitize or wash before they come out to recess and after they go in from recess. So we're trying to keep that equipment as clean as we keep the kids as clean as we possibly can as they're accessing the equipment. But the sharing of communal supplies in terms of equipment and touching games we just won't be able to have that.
Will the teachers be able to have games and things to kind of share with the kids and teach them how to play so that they can still have fun during their recess?
Yes, actually, we're working on trying to find a sort of a resource bank of games. This is crazy, but that you can play outside as kids that don't involve touching. So socially distant recess games that we'll be teaching them so that they can have some fun. We don't want our kids' day to be miserable at all. We recognize they're facing a lot of change, and we're going to do everything we can to hold their hands, not literally, and teach them how school can still be a place of joy in this socially distant manner.
Well, it sounds like we've got a lot of really great plans in place, and I'm super excited to meet all of our Wildcats when they come when the school year starts here.
Oh, it is. We have the best community. We have the best families, and our Wildcats are awesome. I can't wait for you to meet them. So hopefully this video has given you enough insight into the specifics for Westridge to help you with the decision that you've got to make. And we recognize it's a very challenging decision whether you will let us know that your child is returning to us for fully face-to-face 4-day-a-week learning, or whether your child will be a fully online Wildcat. We want you to know that if you make that choice for your child to be a fully online Wildcat, our hope is that it will be our own Westridge teachers that are teaching that online program. That remains to be seen as we see how many kids are coming back and we staff out the district. We also need you to know that the choice you make, if it is to be online, that choice will stand for at least the first semester of school, because we will have established cohorts in our classrooms, social distancing. So we just won't be able to bring kids back in from online learning until the semester break, which would be after winter break.
And if you choose to do face-to-face, but later on decide that you do want to go to online learning, we absolutely can help you in that transition, and that will not be an issue at all. So
hopefully we've covered the details that you need. We recognize you may have additional questions that you didn't see answered in the plan, additional questions that we haven't covered in the video because we didn't want to make it too long. Please feel free to call us, email us to ask those questions, engage with us. Of course, obviously, we don't have the office open for any non-essential foot traffic coming through, but we are back to work full time and here to support you through those other modes. So give us a ring. We're here to help you with your decision.
We love you, Westridge. We're excited to be back on trail with all of you and hope to see or hear from all of you soon.
Absolutely. Have a good one.